Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Front Row with Jelani Stokes. Ladies and gentlemen, it's so great to be here today on this Tuesday, April 19th, 2022. It's been a fantastic day today, and I hope you guys have had a fantastic one too. All right, so before we get going, just want to let you guys know that here, Front Row is going to be live every Tuesday at 6 p.m. And don't forget, if you ever want a question answered live right here on Front Row, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you email askjelanistokes@gmail.com. Again, askjelanistokes@gmail.com. All right. Okay. So first off, we're gonna start with one of my favorite segments. I had to get the words coming. It was, you know how that happens when you get the words and it doesn't come really quick. So here we go. So today on this segment, as I like to call, I want you to know, I want you to know. Ladies and gentlemen, today I want you to know that literally before I was getting ready to do this live, I got caught up with this song that I had sung in one of my old a cappella groups in college. And I sang this song with my group in high school. And as I was working on some of my new videos, I was listening to an old performance and I said, man, I got to do that song. So literally right up until about 2-3 minutes ago, I was working on that. And then all of a sudden it just hit me like, wait, I got a live to do today. And I was just like, oh, and I had to quickly get, flip the switch, and here I am ready to do the live. But luckily I did all the prep work yesterday, so it just made this a little bit easier to get to. But I'm gonna tell you, Boys to Men, one of my all-time favorite groups, one of my biggest influences by far to get me into this music industry. So ladies and gentlemen, that is my segment. I want you to know, and check it out on Spotify. I want you to know by First Cousin, the group I was in. I wrote that song, I produced that song, I did everything for that song. And it's a great song because guess what? I want you to know what's going on today. All right. Well, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into our topic today. And listen, for those of you who are online with me right now, thank you. Thank you so much for your support. You're going to want to stay tuned for this conversation. Ooh, it's going to start I'm going to tell you, might be some fighting words going on with this one. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this up on my side here because I want to make sure I have this article up, because the last time I did a list like this, I saw a lot of people who decided to give me a thumbs down. I'm like, whoa, wait. I didn't make this list. I'm just the messenger. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't get mad at me. I'm just reporting the list and I'm giving you my interpretation of the list. Okay. So for this list today, we are going to share the list from smoothradio.com. They did this about 3 years ago. They did a list on the top 20 greatest family brother and sister groups ever. I call them family groups. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I shared the link on the bottom of the description for this show, and there was 20. I'm only going to do the first 10, maybe one more, because I'll be honest with you, when I looked at this list, I had a lot to say about it. And there was a lot of things that I was like, what? So that's why I didn't do the whole 20. I'm just going to do the first top 10. So we're going to start with that top 10 real quick. And I'm going to go through each of these, ladies and gentlemen. The top 10 family band groups. Now, honorable mention, the Osmonds was number 11. I had to say something about the Osmonds because they were one of the premier groups. Starting at number 10, the Pointer Sisters. We have the Pointer Sisters at number 10. Great family group. Those ladies could go. I'm telling you that right now. Number 9, Heart. Great duo. I'm going to tell you, not very familiar with them, but I heard some of their music. Okay. Next, we go on to Sparks. I'll be honest with you. I've never really heard of Sparks before. If you've heard of them, you got some great songs, put them in the chat for me. All right, next, Sister Sledge. We are family. Another great sister group. Those girls could go when they needed to. All right, coming in at number 6, Oasis. Noel and Liam Gallagher. Don't know much about them too, so please put them in the chat if you got something for me to listen to. Number 5, The Beach Boys. Oh my God, their harmonies so iconic, so great. The Beach Boys. All right. Number 4, we got the Everly Brothers. They started out, they helped be pioneers of rock and roll, ladies and gentlemen. Great. Okay. Number 3, we've got the Jacksons. The Jacksons are at number 3. All right. And then coming in at number 2, ladies and gentlemen, the Carpenters. Hey, I got some Carpenters coming up for you guys, so don't go too far away. And number 1, the Bee Gees. The Brothers Gibb. Yes, yes, yes. And that is the list from Smooth Radio. Okay. That was the order. Now we're going to talk about this list a little bit because when I was looking at this, I had some bones to pick with this list. First off, there were so many groups that were iconic to me that weren't anywhere near the list. When I looked at the list, I saw a lot more groups, contemporary groups, that were being featured. Some young, some older, but there were some groups where are they at? And I'm gonna get to mine, and I'm gonna get there, not yet, but I just wanna say, like, where were some of the groups that I always thought of as a family, and they're not here? And I guess the best way I can think about this is this list was put together by somebody who has more of a overall broad pop, um, kind of sensibility. So certain maybe genres, R&B, funk, hip hop, hard rock, country, and maybe country could be in there a little bit, but those may have not been, those are not as represented in this list. Okay. So I do have some bones to pick with that one. But let's go through the list again, and I'm just gonna kind of go through each of these, and I'm gonna kind of give you where I feel, and then we're gonna talk about the people that I felt were left off. My gosh, I'm gonna tell you. Ooh, I was ready to fight some people that day, but I held off. So, all right, so let's start with the Osmonds. Now, here's the thing with the Osmonds, okay? To only be number 11, and if you don't know the Osmonds and the impact they had, okay, so the Jacksons and Osmonds had this little friendly rivalry, and it was kind of brought up in their movies and whatnot. I mean, actually, families were cool, but you had the Osmonds and you got the Jacksons. So, but the Osmonds definitely kind of came up with One Bad Apple, which was written for the Jackson Five. Side note, and then, Marie came on the spot, and then little Donnie came out, and they called it Puppy Love. Man, he blew up with that. And then Donnie Marie had the show in the late 70s, which took over everything. And to only have them at number 11, to me, I got to take somebody off that list. I'm not going to say who, but I got to take somebody off that list. Okay. Because I think the Osmonds need to be higher. All right. Moving on. So number 10, the Pointer Sisters. I'm so excited. I'm telling you, groups with sisters, especially in the R&B world, and we're talking late 70s, late 70s, or early 80s, you can literally, I feel like, swap them because you had the Emotions, you had the Pointer Sisters, we're gonna come up on Sister Sledge. There was a lot of groups where there was family involvement, and I really think you can kind of mix and match, and almost, whoever you pick, you're not going to go wrong. So I definitely believe the Pointer Sisters belong on this list because, I mean, come on, I'm so excited. That's one of my favorite jams. Heart. Okay, so we come to an artist that, just gonna be honest, I don't know much about. I've heard some of their music, cool. I can dig it, and I'm the kind of guy who can dig all music. You give me a song, any song, I can listen to it and I can find something enjoyable about it. Okay, doesn't mean I'm gonna go out and buy their CDs and go, stream their music all day, every day, but I can find something about everything. So I'm gonna give them a pass. mainly because I don't know much about them. But the fact that they are a duo sister group, and I do understand the impact they've had within the industry, I do believe they belong on this list. And at this point, I can't say whether they go up or down without knowing more. But I'm gonna let you guys, fill me in on that. So we got Heart at number 9. Okay. Next, we got Sparks. I'm gonna say this. Now here's one I've never really heard of in my life. And maybe once again, if you have some Sparks music that you think is hot and it's on fire, put it down in the mentions, put it down in the comments. I will definitely take a listen. I'm always open to new music, but I'm gonna say this right now. At this point, not knowing them and not knowing what they do and what type of music and what kind of impact they've had, I would have to move them off the list in favor for some of my the people that I felt were left off the list. So, no shade to them, but just lack of information to me tells me, well, okay, how impactful could they be? But once again, we're not exposed to everything, so they could have songs that, wow, they sang that. And how many times have you listened to a song and you was like, wow, I did not know they sang that? Bam, they could be one. So that's number 8. Now moving on to number 7, Sister Sledge. We Are Family. I'm telling you, that was a huge hit with that, and He's the Greatest Dancer. That was produced by the R&B and funk legends. I'm not saying disco. I'm not saying disco. I'm saying R&B funk legends of Bernard Edwards and Nile Rodgers producing these smashes on these sisters, and they did a great job. They had a youthful look, and that song "We Are Family" is just so timeless. People still sing that today. Story: one of my first program, the first program I ever did as a music teacher, that was a song I incorporated over the overall program. So it's an iconic song. As a sister group, I can't, yeah, they belong. So keeping it moving. All right. So on to number 6. Once again, Oasis. Now I've heard more about Oasis as a brand and as a group more than Sparks. But at the same time, I haven't heard any of their music. So I'm open to anybody. Please put down in my mentions. Give me some songs, give me some tracks, give me something that I could listen to really get an understanding of what Oasis is all about. If you can do that for me, that would be wonderful, because at this point I have no reference. And at this point, because I have no reference and there's nothing that I can possibly like measure them up against, I'd have to move them more down the list, possibly off the list for some people coming up later. Okay. And here's the other thing I have to say about Oasis that kind of to me, with some of these groups, is almost a disqualifier. The whole group the whole group are not siblings. Two members in the group are siblings. Everybody else is members of the band. And the Beach Boys are the same way, although the Beach Boys w- did tend to be more of a family band in the overall scheme of things, because you got the three. Well, let's get to them. But that's one of my things. That's kind of strike. The Beach Boys. You got Brian, Dennis, and Carl. They absolutely belong on here. Absolutely. And then let me tell you why. Now, with Oasis, I did say like part of my strike against them is there's only 2 in the band who are brothers. I'm talking about a whole family band, whole band of brothers, sisters, cousins, whatever you want to say, a family band. And I'm going to explain why they're so, iconic as we get through this list. The Beach Boys had Brian, Dennis, and Carl, plus they had their cousin Mike Love. So 4 out of 5 of the Beach Boys were related. So with one person coming in who maybe wasn't a relative, I can live with that. Versus with Oasis, right now it's just 2 of them and it's a 5-member band. To me, dude, why not put New Kids on the Block? Jordan Knight, and Mike. Uh that's gonna bother me right now. Don't you hate that when you can't think of a name? Because I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna figure this out. I don't care. I'm gonna make this name happen. So I'm gonna get this name. Thank you. Here we go. I knew it was a J because J's are the best. Yes, they are. Okay, so in New Kids on the Block. You had Jordan Knight and Jonathan Knight, brothers in New Kids. Okay, why not them? I'm telling you, there was nobody bigger than New Kids on the Block in the late 80s, early 90s. Nobody. Okay. And then you could talk about Backstreet Boys. I mean, you have um I'm just doing first names. I'm not gonna do last names. You have Kevin and Brian, who were cousins, family. I mean, there's so many, examples of that. So to me, I gotta move them further down the list, if not off, because there's too many other groups that were completely comprised of not just family, but siblings. Okay. So that's how I look at it. But the Beach Boys, I love the Beach Boys. The Beach Boys are so influential to so many musicians, people, groups, and singing harmony. Okay. The Everly Brothers. I have no argument with the Everly Brothers. They were pioneers of rock and roll. They helped start rock and roll with Elvis Presley and Chuck Berry and the Big Bopper and Richie Valens and Buddy Holly, the day the music died. Trust me, I've done my homework. But everybody in the 50s playing rock and roll was so influential to the pop music we hear today. So, yes, I'm going to give it to them. I believe they have earned their spot right there. Now, I'm going to say this. I honestly believe 4 through 10 are debatable. These three, to me, no debate. The Jacksons, absolutely. 2 words, Michael Jackson. But let me say this too. The Jacksons themselves, don't sleep on them. Those brothers have been so maligned over the years. They are some of the most underrated musicians and songwriters that we've had because Michael overshadowed them so much. We forget how talented Tito is. A phenomenal guitar player. Jermaine is a bad boy on the bass. Quick note, it was Jermaine Jackson who influenced me to pick up the bass guitar. Putting that out there. Thank you, Jermaine. Thank you so much. But the Jacksons, number 3, I have no arguments against that. Um, absolutely. Now, here's why I would give the number 2 spot to the Carpenters, okay? The Jacksons literally after a while became Michael, and the focus was Michael, with the brothers kind of just being there. With the Carpenters, they were a unit, they were a duo, and it was meant for Karen to be out front and Richard behind the piano, but they was always the duo. And they came up with some of the most luscious, beautiful music you can think of. And I'm telling you, the Bee Gees, they just can't wait to come out and take over their top, spot. And you know what? The Bee Gees. I can't argue with this. They are number 1. Okay. Look at it. They're all brothers. Not only did they have success in one era, they had massive success in 2 eras, and might I even say 3. Once the backlash of the disco went away and people started to really appreciate what they had done and they were listening to their new music, they had another success period. But I like to call that third one more of the appreciation period because people were finally appreciating what they have done. Here's why to me they're number 1. And I'm going to say this. One, because their vocal blend is uncanny, and it's so good. Ooh, I'm telling you, watch the documentary on HBO. Justin Timberlake, I took this line from Justin Timberlake. He said it. Their voices are like horns because they're so distinct, but they blend so well together. And it's just like hearing horns, especially Saturday Night Fever, and hearing how they sing those very complicated melodic lines together. It's like, ooh, yes. But they are one of the greatest songwriting teams ever, ever. And they were a well-oiled unit. The difference between them and the Jacksons and the Carpenters were I always felt like with the Jacksons, it was Michael. And after Michael, it was like, okay. With the Carpenters, you put Karen out front, Richard behind, and it was really, after a while, you want to see more Karen, not so much as Richard, even though they kept it together. With the Bee Gees, it was always the three of them. After they had their period in the 60s where they got famous, they got big headed. And then they realized in the early 70s that they needed each other. And the three of them made it work. So they understood as a unit. They were strong and they stayed together until, the brothers started to pass away, which was unfortunate. But one of the greatest songwriting teams, one of the greatest producing teams, great vocals, great music. I cannot argue with the Bee Gees being number one. So, okay, now to me, what makes a family group special? Well, I was having this talk with Josh Foreman, who was on the show a couple weeks ago when we talked about the Beatles. One thing we try to do in acapella music, and it's one of the hardest things to do if you're an acapella singer, is to be able to sing and to blend your voices to where you literally can never tell anybody apart. And the blend is so good that you become one. It is one of the goals of singers everywhere in groups. It's something that takes years and years and years and years of training to even get close. The advantage family groups have is that they're in the house. And a lot of these groups, if you're siblings, you're singing together all the time. So you're automatically developing that blend, whether you know it or not. And then on top of that, because you all share the same gene pool, you guys have similar vocal cords or similar vocal folds, which allow for blending to be a lot easier. So listen to some of these groups that I'm about to talk about. Their harmonies are impeccable. A lot of them are. And they sing so well and they know each other so well because of their siblings. So that's why I think sibling groups are, very special. Okay. Now you got some issues with some of them, but we'll talk about that later. So let's go to some of the groups that I thought were missing. Okay. The Neville brothers. I mean, come on. How many people have not listened to Aaron Neville? He has one of the most distinct voices, and the brothers really came out with some classic music. And I'm telling everybody I'm about to mention was not on this list. None of them. None of them were on this list, even on the 20. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So, yes, the Neville brothers were left off. To me, a huge mistake. Okay. So, I think they deserve some more love. Here's another one, the Silvers. Okay. So, I might get some pushback on this one, but you got to listen to me. Okay. You may consider the Silvers a one-hit wonder because they did have the hit Boogie Fever, which was another song meant for the Jacksons. Um, But if you listen to their catalog and if you listen to the earlier stuff, oh my God, it sounds so good. They were able to sing such complex chords and sing them in tune. They were so gifted vocally. I would say, as a group, not individual, not like you pick them apart, as a group, they sang better than the Jacksons. They had a better vocal blend and they used it to, they used it a lot better than the Jacksons. Okay. So one group that we all know is Boogie Fever, but check out Fool's Paradise. And even then they had a producer in the group by Leon Silvers. Okay, let me tell you about this man. I'm gonna talk about this one day. In the mid to late 70s, if you guys remember the show Soul Train, there was a man by the name of Dick Griffey who was a manager. He was managing a group, The Whispers, and he got with Don Cornelius, the head of Soul Train, and they decided to start a record label called Soul Train Records. Make a long story short, Don didn't want to do it anymore. He got out. Dick Griffey bought him out his shares, and then he renamed it from Soul Train to Solar Records, the sound of Los Angeles. Why is that important? A lot of the songs some of you a lot of the songs some of you have listened to and have heard in recent times were sampled from this record company. I literally want to talk about this company because they were like another Motown on a smaller level. They didn't have the outreach like Motown did, but during that disco era, disco, I still don't like that word, but during that disco era, they had a lot of hits that got people on the floor. So you may not recognize them and have them at the same level as a My Girl or a Tears of a Clown or Superstition. But I'm gonna tell you, you put that record on the turntable, you put that record in the CD player, people gonna start dancing and they're gonna really get to it. So what does this all have to do with the Silvers? Leon Silvers was the main producer during their hot period. Okay. Leon being right here. He was the one who literally was like the house producer for all of Solar Records. And I mean, he came out with some cuts, man. I mean, and not to mention Leon he's a bad bass player. And he's been so influential to the music, to R&B, to hip hop music today. People do not realize how important Leon Silvers is to music today, and he doesn't get enough credit for what he's done, what he's provided to R&B hip hop music. So many people are sampling his music, but we're not giving them the love that it deserves. Okay. So big shout out to Leon Silvers. I got to give him some love. But the Silvers, to me, they focused on the vocal blend, the vocal harmony. If you want to get to my heart, just sing as a group and you'll always be there. So I got to put the Silvers above some of these people. And they may not get up to 10 because their impact wasn't that great from a macro standpoint, but just thinking of talent and the way they were able to come together as a group. And look, there is literally 9 individuals in that picture, okay? They were a deep group, okay? They had different iterations throughout the years, but they were a deep, loving family. And I think we got to give them some love. So the Silvers, they got to be put on this list. Maybe not a 10, but they got to be put on this list. The next one, oh my, how you not gonna have the barge? How you not gonna have the barge? Rhythm of the night. Rhythm of the night. I know. Okay, so here's another situation where they had a little bit more. They had some more hits than the Silvers, but once again, we're talking R&B realm. So if you weren't listening to R&B music in the early '80s, early mid '80s, you weren't really listening to the Barge. I think the only song you might have got from them was "Rhythm of the Night," and then maybe some of their later releases from that album. That's it. But from the R&B world, just like the Silvers, their songs have just infiltrated all of R&B and hip hop all over. I mean, so many of their songs have just been sampled. I was listening to Boys to Men going into work, and they took the whole song didn't even have nothing to do with them. And then in the middle, they just decided to, I like it, I like it, I really, really like it. That's the Barge. And because they put that in there, they had to give them credit. They got money from that song. And vocally, this family could go, okay? And I mean, they had a distinct voice. I would love to talk about the Barge, okay? Just like with Marvin Gaye, this was a family that has been living a really hard life in a lot of ways. I'm not going to get into it, but my heart always goes out to them because I feel like when you look at their story, I feel like with Marvin Gaye, he had, I'm just going to say it, he had daddy issues. And then same thing kind of here. I mean, and I feel like a lot of what's kind of, if you go look into, read about them, research them, they've gone through a lot, and I feel like a lot of it's just not their fault. It's just the circumstance that they were put into, and their coping mechanism wasn't that great. One of their coping mechanisms was music, and they were able to play music. So the DeBarge family started off with this group called Switch, and their two older brothers, which was Bobby DeBarge and Tommy DeBarge, played in a group called Switch. They got signed to Motown. Motown then signed the younger brothers and the oldest sister, who was older than the two brothers. And then that group kind of came up and then overtook Switch in the time as things were going on. And if you listen to so much of their music, one of my favorite songs is I Like It. I love that song. I did a kind of a cappella clip of that. It's in my page if you want to check it out. Beautiful harmonies. I mean, oh my. And they, oh my, I could put so many songs about them. But the fact, once again, they're all brothers and sister. You got a band in here who just has a brother, a pair, a pair of brothers, or not a pair of brothers, sorry. You've got two brothers and the rest are a band. Like, come on. I gotta move them up because they at least have contributed to hip hop music in such a large way that you cannot deny their contributions to music. Even though in their time they may not have been the hottest group, you can't deny it. So you got to put the Barge on there. Okay. This was my most egregious one. Well, no, I'm sorry, not this one. The Gap Band, the Wilson Brothers. You dropped the bomb on me, yeah, baby. Okay. Burn Rubber, Uncle Charlie, as we know him now. Once again, more R&B, but three brothers who literally had some huge hits in the late 70s, early 80s, getting no love, not anywhere near the 20. I don't know how you can leave Charlie Wilson and the Gap Band out of a top group, family group. I don't get it. Okay, here's the most egregious. The Isley Brothers. This is where I want to fight somebody. How can you tell me that the Isley Brothers, I tell you this, I'll even get if you felt like, they're not the top. Okay, I'll give you that. But they're not even in the top 20. And I've looked at multiple lists, and there's a lot of lists have nothing, no mention of the Isley Brothers. Ladies and gentlemen, the Isley Brothers. Go watch Who's That Lady? I just put that video out last week. It's in my reaction videos. Go check it out. The Isley Brothers is a band of literally all brothers. It started off with three of them, okay? The three older brothers, okay? And then when they got to the 70s, they was feeling this new vibe, and a lot of people were starting to put bands and do things, this and that. So they decided to bring their two younger brothers and then their brother-in-law, who married into the family, into the fold. And you got the 3+3 era with Who's That Lady? Okay, I'm about to list off some hits. You tell me if this is egregious that this group was left out, okay? This was them. Mind you, I'm not talking covers. Them. Shout. This So Hard of Mine. It's Your Thing. Who's That Lady? Fight the Power. For the Love of You. Between the Sheets. Contagious. I've already got to 5 decades of hits already. You telling me that can't be one of the top groups ever? Forget family groups ever. I'm sorry. To me, that's disrespectful, because here's what I got to say about the Isley Brothers. There is no group, and please prove me wrong. I love to be proven wrong. If you could prove me wrong and put some information down on my mentions, I will be the first one. I will make a video, and I will be silly though, say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I should have never said that. And I'll even put on pretend, pretend tears and be like, "Ooh, ooh, 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 ooh." I will do all of that. But check this out. The Isley Brothers, to me, from my research, they are the only group to have hits in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s, in the 2000s. 6 decades worth of hit records. And mind you, these were not redos. These were not covers. These were not songs that they decided to re-record and release and it went up for some reason. Brand new records. Let me break it down for you again. I listed all of those songs. If you want more proof, I'm about to give you some proof, okay? Because to me, this was atrocious. This was such a bad oversight. And I feel like they got no love. Okay, Shout, hit, came out 1959. Okay, that's 50s. Okay, we're gonna keep it going, and I'm gonna use my little computer machine. That's why I'm looking this way. So if you wonder why my eyes are looking this way, that's why. So, but I want to make sure I get this right. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's our thing, or it's your thing. 1969, but we can go this whole heart of mine. That was 1966. Okay, so we got 50s, 60s. 70s is just too easy. You just pick, pick it. I'm gonna do Who's This Lady? Who's That Lady? That's what I'm gonna get. Who's That Lady? We're in the 70s, okay? 80s, Between the Sheets. Okay, we're at 4 decades. Okay, 4 decades already. Okay, next, Let's Stay Together. Okay, now, and I get it. Okay, a lot of people now are or holding back. I'm sorry. Nope, never mind. Wrong song. Sometimes I get it wrong too. But and then the 2000s, Eternal, Contagious, 2001. 6 decades of brand new music to chart and to highly chart on the Billboard and to actually make a statement. And you trying to tell me they can't crack a top 20 list? You telling me there are 20 other groups who can even match that type of musical output? I mean, we can go on this one. I'm ready to say something about that. Oh, so I'm going to put this on there. First off, I appreciate you joining me, and I'm going to put you up here. So in your opinion, you think Winner Takes All is the best Isley Brothers record for how amazing they are? They are not. They are not talked about. And and to me, it's a travesty because we think of people like the Beatles, we think about people like the Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, the Bee Gees, Queen, Michael Jackson, Prince. I can name them. I can go through them. None of them have done what the Isley Brothers have done. None of them. And they're still going today. They don't get the credit they do. I'm gonna tell you, I have that album, Winner Takes All. They were jamming. The one thing I love about the 3+3 era was there was a formula to it. Once the younger Isleys got to it, they would always start with the lyrics, and this is more on the jam songs. Like if it was a fast song, they would do the lyrics, and then they would let the young bucks just go. They would just let Ernie go. And I'm gonna tell you that, like, if you Ernie Isley is so underrated, man. He not only was their guitarist, he was their drummer in the studio. Especially, I think from which album was that? He started drumming from The Heat Is On, and then he did basically until the 3+3 lineup broke up. But Who's That Lady? How many times you heard that on a commercial? Shout, how much of that song has just got into the American lexicon? People don't even know that's the Isley Brothers. They just know that Shout. Now, Twist and Shout, that was a cover, but Shout was theirs. It's Your Thing. I mean, now that was when the brothers started, the younger brother started playing with them. And then you think about Contagious. That's one of my jams. We're talking 2001. Now, I know we're kind of on this cancel R. Kelly kick, which, hey, listen, you know, that's a whole nother subject to discuss. Do you cancel the whole person, or do you just separate music from the person? And I'm not going to touch that today. We'd be here for another 2 hours. But they are the only group that I can think of who have had that kind of longevity. And longevity where people are buying their new stuff. I mean, how many groups, how many, artists would try to put out something brand new and nobody cares about it because they're old. Somebody new is here, and then they want to hear them, So to me, this was the most egregious one. To me, that was, they don't know about the Isley Brothers. And once again, it goes to what I said earlier. Some of those bands and groups I've never really heard of. So I can't give an opinion one way or another. And I can probably say the same thing for the author of this list. But the Isley Brothers, I mean, one, they're all brothers with the brother-in-law who was part of the 3+3, but everybody else was brothers. So all family. 6 decades worth of music. 6 decades worth of hit music. And Ronald Isley, probably one of the most, and I say this with an emphasis, one of the most underrated vocalists of all time. Especially male vocalists. One of the most underrated. I can listen to Ronald Isley all day long. That man is a legend to this day. That man can go. And what I love about Ronald Isley is because I love a vocalist who can sing, but they have a distinct vocal sound to them. Too many people try to sound similar, and I've talked about this, and I'll discuss this in another front row. When you hear Isley Brothers, you know it's Isley Brothers because of Ronald Isley. When you hear his voice, you know exactly who it is. It's like Michael Jackson. When you heard Michael, you knew who that was. Like when you hear Queen, when you hear Freddie Mercury, you know who you're hearing. When you hear the Bee Gees, when you hear Barry singing his high falsetto, you know who that is. There's a lot of people where when you hear them sing, you just like, okay, that's just another guy. There's nothing to discern them or to differentiate them from everybody else. Ronald Isley was that man. Who you gonna get me talking about the Isley Brothers for another hour? I can't get over that. So that is the list. And I implore you, if you guys have any, disagreements about the list, please let me know. I'm down to just have a conversation and to back up my opinion. The list is in the description. So if you want to click on it, it's there. They have the full list of 20. Like I said, I started at 10 because from 12 on down, I was like, no, 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 no. And like I said, once again, goes back to I am not familiar with a lot of those artists. And to me, at this moment, the artists that I just mentioned should be above these people. So to me, it didn't get interesting until the top 10. I said, okay, those are the ones I'll talk about. But if you want to see the full list, it's down there. And yeah, check it out. Give them some love. I think that they did a pretty good job. I love talking about lists because I love to just talk about what I don't like. And I don't like that. I don't like the Isley Brothers not getting any love. I mean, I probably would be this mad if they were like 13. Like, really? Over some of the people that was in the top 10? Yeah, that bothers me. He is. You're right. Ronald Isley. I can't say any more about it. Okay, 2 tracks that explain exactly what you're talking about as far as his smooth and then his real funky voice. 2 of my all-time favorite Ronald Isley Brothers tracks. Okay, if you're talking smooth, For the Lover of You. That boy was I mean, any of their slow ballad jams is Ronald Isley at his best smooth. Funky, Work to Do. Let me tell you about this song, Work to Do. I heard this song one time, and I think it was, I want to say 2007 for the first time. This is the first time I heard Work to Do. I literally listened to it over and over and over and over and over and over again until I got to the house, to back to my apartment, and I literally on the spot created an a cappella arrangement for Work to Do right then and there. It, whew, I mean, that man is singing with such ferocity and fire and oomph. Ew, I'm telling you. I mean, to me, Ronald Isley is right up there with Marvin Gaye. I think they do things a little bit differently, and I feel like to a degree it's some apple and an oranges going on there because I do believe Ronald Marvin to me was just a storyteller. His voice was a storyteller. That's what he did. Told stories with his voice. And you knew exactly what he was talking about, and he conveyed everything through his voice. Ronald Isley just had a talent for knowing how to make his voice work for the situation. Work to Do, For the Lover in You. Those two. That'll tell you right there. So go check those out. Give Ronald Isley and the Isley Brothers some love. I mean, they've contributed so much to the music. And then go ahead, give all these people I said some love. Let's go back. I'm gonna say this one more time. You know, give the Neville brothers, okay? Give them some love. I think they deserve some love. Give some love to the Silvers. Ladies and gentlemen, the Silvers and Leon Silvers have contributed so much to your R&B life. If it wasn't for them, then you wouldn't have a whole bunch of songs. Same thing with the Barge. Ladies and gentlemen, gives the Barge some love. Once again, you would not have half the music you would see without them. How many of you been on the dance floor when the Gap Band was playing Outstanding? We're playing Burn Rubber, Early in the Morning. All of those. And no love on this list. Go give them some love, ladies and gentlemen. And then the one I did the rant on for almost an hour, ladies and gentlemen, the Isley Brothers. One of the greatest bands ever. Groups ever. Yeah, I said it, and it's the truth. Ronald Isley, the Isley Brothers, O'Kelly, Rudolph, Ernie, Marvin, Chris Jasper. Give them some love because they were some bad boys. I'd play some of their music right now if YouTube wouldn't shut me down and say, no, no. So I guess I'm just gonna have to do some more Isley Brothers reaction videos because I'm about to put them on. I'm about to put them on blast. They need the exposure, so I'm about to do it. Absolutely. All right. All right. Hey, this is one of my buddies. Yes. See, this is why I need to tell your classmates I'm not just your teacher. This is what I do. My life is music all the time. So when you guys go home and you chilling on TikTok, talking, texting, talking about all kind of stuff, I'm in this studio grinding, making music every day. Let them know that. So, all right. So while I'm wrapping up, if you got any questions before we wrap this up, please let me know right there in the chat. And if you don't get a chance to get to me in the chat, you know what you can always do. Ladies and gentlemen, you can always send me a question at AskJelaniStokes@gmail.com, and I will answer your question live on Front Row before I even get into the nitty-gritty of my discussions. That is one of my buddies, man. I miss you guys. I really do. And it's so good to see you. I hope things are great. Um, man, I can't believe, dude, you're about to get out, aren't you? No, don't answer that because you're gonna make me feel old. No, I don't want to feel old anymore. So don't answer that. It's okay. So oh man, I miss you guys. I really do. But I'm glad to see that you're doing all right. Man, come check me out. Check some of this other stuff. I'm gonna be here every Tuesday at 6 p.m. and then I'm gonna just drop some knowledge on you, just like I used to, because just like I still do. All right. So once again, this is Front Row, ladies and gentlemen, with Jelani Stokes. We do this every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, ladies and gentlemen. And we're gonna go through all kind of topics. I'm gonna tell you, I got some exciting ones coming up. I saw a video today, and we're going to talk about that. It talks about the death of R&B. Ooh, I got some thoughts on that one. We're going to break down some more documentary films of some of your favorite artists like Led Zeppelin, the Bee Gees, and some others. And oh, I can't wait for this. We're going to break down the top bass players ever. Ooh, I'm about to start some fights with that one. I'm about to start some fights. Yes. Please disagree with me, and I'm going to back it up every day because that's what I do. But ladies and gentlemen, this is Jelani Stokes in Front Row. Thank you guys for joining me. This is always fun talking to you guys, talking music, because music is what I do. It's what I love. So it's just great to share my love with you. All right. So until then, what I'm going to ask you guys to do is, in the meantime, if you're waiting for another Front Row, please go and check out my page here on YouTube. I've got so much content. I've got so many cool reaction videos, music videos, bass videos. You'll find something that you will enjoy, okay? So go check it out, because I'm talking about so much other music on all these other reaction videos that you will get more of my thought processes with this. Okay, so go check those out. And until then, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to insist that you have yourself a fantastic, wonderful day. Stay safe and come see me next Tuesday for another Front Row. All right, you guys take care. Bye bye.